Everybody, welcome to Maude's Book Club. And to quote KP Dubs, I need to read it properly because it's in Latin, unless someone wants to say it for me. Hic Saint Leonis. Yay! Did you read the book? Hic Saint Leones. Oh, that was to Fiddle Funhole. Oh God, I said the whole name out loud. I try not to do that. Thank you for 10 months though. Thank you for 10 months. I really appreciate you subscribing, saying, I caught a live one. Call me a fisherman.
Thank you, Fiddle Funhole. Thank you, Fiddle. There
you go. As long as I'm not saying it, we are all good. And that is just you had your name up, but it's just a faceless voice. Ooh, you don't know where they get them from. Oh, look, I just summoned a resubscription. Hello, Airwolf. How you been? How's life? Natius, thank you so much for the follow as well. I feel like I've seen that name pop up more as well. Midnight Seer, thank you for the follow earlier. If anyone's new here, I have a swear count and we hit 1,000 a couple of streams ago, which I was very excited about. Rinrai, please let me know if I'm getting that name right. It says, so happy for this book club, and that was your first time chatter. Saying, I love the Red Rising saga. I've read it 3 times already. Well, you're in great company over here. Vaden says, most of us love it too. Jeff's eyes are just... It was nearly all of us loved it, but we have a little spicy variety happening in here as well. Fiddled says, look, I feel terrible for not actually reading, but I'm just here for the vibes. I respect that. A lot of people who are in the book club sometimes don't read the book, but they're just happy to be here. And that's the kind of... You keep changing the name. And that's the kind of community we've built here. Everyone's so amazing, and we enjoy the conversation and bring the vibes. The vibes are immaculate here, says Robin. Steve, thank you so much for the donation. Oddly, it's $22 specifically. I wonder if that has any tie to anything around here. But it's from the return of Steve. In this community, Steve will never die. Steve, there you go. KP Dubs just said, Steve, you will be remembered. K Frito says, I hate Steve. See, and that's on having a plethora of opinions around here. What did Steve ever do? He just had a pot for a hat once, you know? Was that Steve or is that Phil? That was Steve. Steve had the pot hat. Whoa, what did I do? Okay, we're back. His pot hat was nice. Yeah. Joke's on you. Steve never left. It's Phil if you take the pot off. Phil in disguise. Nadia, thank you so much for the subscription as well. I really appreciate that. All right, let's do a little housekeeping. If you are a member of Maude's Book Club, you will have access to not only the show chat, but a bunch of other Discord channels that we have, including Book Pick, Merch Chat, Members Chat, or not everyone has Merch Chat, that's the merch tier, my bad. Book of the Month. So we have our private little channels and feedback that is only accessible for the members. And the other cool thing that's coming up, thank you, Jesse Green. Thanks for the bits. Good to see you live. It's been a while. It's lovely to have you back. I appreciate it. The stream camera looks so good. It looks like both that and the Discord ones are working well. It's a miracle. And it's not even Christmas. That's fantastic. Cool. We have been doing the Red Rising saga for a couple of reasons. It's a pretty good book series. And Pierce is a buddy of mine, and I get access to his brain. Every book that we read, we get to sit down for a 1-hour Q&A. And that Q&A is a lot of fun because if you remember, you get access to the question doc, and I will literally ask Pierce Brown your burning questions. They can be anything about the Red Rising series. They can pertain to this book specifically because we will go into spoilers. So don't feel bad that if you didn't catch the first 4 that you've missed out, 5 that you've missed out. If there's something that's just been bothering you that you're just like, I just need to know this. I have even asked something about Ragnar being sexy or daddy. I don't know. Someone asked a question. I asked it. So, KP Dub says, don't say burning. It's too soon. Touche. Access to his brain. Maybe I'm the parasite. Anyone think about that? Maybe it was Maude all along. I really want to talk about this Parasite. We were going into the first half of this book. But if you do want to sign up, if you want access to the question doc, head over to patreon.com/Maude's Book Club. Join up to any of the tiers. Even the baby tier gives you access to all of that. If you do want to be a part of the actual discussion, how many have we got in here? 9. And now 9, 10? How many have we got in here? 9. 10
plus you.
10 people with their videos on in the chat right now, as if we're all sitting in a room together having our own sort of book club. And everyone in everyone in that particular Discord call has full reign for discussions, and I will be asking everyone about things in the book. But if you want to participate just by watching, the chat's yours. I'll be keeping an eye on that as well. And members, you've got show chat in there. We have to fill Iron Rain. Is that?
That's a typo. You said we have full rain, and I tried to say we have full Iron Rain, and I typed it.
I did read it, and I saw you wince. And you were like, oh no. Typos are fine around here. We love good typees. It's all fun. Hi, Christian Unpronounceable. Lovely to have you here. So I have really been scouring the Reddit pages and getting stuck into this. I only listened to the book. I had really good intentions to read this dang thing. But there's a lot. There's a lot. And I got sucked into reading more of the Throne of Glass series. I'm onto the prequel book, Assassin's Blade. Can we chat about that for a second? Oh my God, Sam. Irina, is it Irina that gets brought into this whole thing for the first time? That foreshadowing. Rinri says that is a nice, pretty book cover. Big book is good. This is lovely. This is Mustang, yeah? We can all just say that it's Mustang on the cover?
Yeah.
Good. Or, no, academic? Who's the horse?
It's a Pegasus, you know?
It's a Pegasus.
So, like,
Sure,
It's
but
not
like,
winged.
Well, who's the Pegasus in this? Have we
I
not
like
got
There's
there
one.
yet?
Lysander.
I mean, and I feel like Virginia gets a lot of play in this book. So if,
The Pegasus is 100% Lysander.
Yeah.
I have so much to talk about with
his
Lysander. The
Whole
Pegasus Legion, says Kate.
Legion is Pegasus, yeah.
My favorite thing about talking about things that are obvious to some and not everyone is that I will get lurkers in that chat so fast for the first time. LL Cool J SB said Lysander. I encourage everyone to correct me in that chat, because like when you're listening, I've always said this, if you're listening to a book, at best you're at like an 80% capacity. There are things that might fall through the cracks for me. I also have to be like, wait a second, I brain wandered, back and like re-listen to it again. That happens quite a lot. Darren says his ship is the Light Bringer, which is the corpse of the Morning Star. Here we go. City's in the chat. Let's go. Darrow's fake family is Andromedus, which uses the Pegasus, and his personal legion is Pegasus Legion. So hold on. City, is that then Darrow or Lysander? Because I'm hearing now two differing bits of information. City says that's Darrow. City says that's Darrow, not Lysander. Okay, in the red corner, we have, this is the Pegasus is
City
Darrow.
can be wrong, it's fine.
Academic is in the blue corner, and why is the Pegasus Lysander? Let's go.
Pegasus is Lysander. 1, for his legion. 2, because the entire theme of this first half of the book is that Lysander is sort of following Darrow's footsteps. So like he's learning all of the mistakes that the real Gold Darrow, but before Morning Star, is learned. He's renamed the Morning Star Lightbringer. He's making the hard call, sacrificing his friends for the greater good. But we're getting too much into the book. Yeah, it's Lysander, in my opinion.
I'm with you on that one.
You know what happens now?
you battle.
No, I text Pierce.
We text Pierce and ask him.
Literally, is the Pegasus on the line? Oh, it sucks that he's friends with me. Bring a cover Lysander or Darrow? Okay, TikTok. Let's find out.
Just so you know, when the females, they're Pegasus, but the males are Pegabros.
God damn it!
Stop talking.
Don't shake your head. That was a good one. That was a good one. I actually really liked that
That
one.
was Pegasus, is what that was.
Oh, I love this place. The
Sorry,
greater good.
They gave me a Pegasi.
City eye rolls. Welcome back, City. We've missed you. KP Dubs, thank you so much for tipping as well. Saying prediction: we will have 2025 spoilers this year in book club. Hopefully not. So just a little spoiler reminder: we do books in part 1 and part 2. Next one's going to be different because it's the biggest book we've probably ever covered. So we're only talking about the first half of this book. For 2 hours, we're just talking about the first half of this book. Next Thursday, we'll be talking about the second half of the book. So everything's free reign. And then after our 2-hour discussion, I say goodbye to the club and I get Pierce on to conduct the Q&A. So that will be a lot of fun. Nothing yet. As soon as that changes, I will let you know. Let's get started. There's a lot of conversations, but when we start a book, I always throw it over to the members. And exhausting for you, Maude. What do you mean it's exhausting for me? No. I will rally. I love this stuff. The double stream. Yeah. The thing is, though, see, everything has like a little bit of business behind it subtly. At the moment, we have 69 viewers. Nice.
Nice.
We have 69 viewers. At the end of 2 hours, that will be probably the highest. So after the 2-hour mark, that's when the most people will be watching. And it always sucks. We're like, okay, I guess I'm going. So at the height of that, we will have Pierce, and then hopefully we'll have the most viewers that we've ever had. So I can rally for that. Pianki's joined the conversation. From Wikipedia, Pegasus Legion, the 7th Legion, known as the Pegasus Legion, is under the personal command of the Arch-Imperator Darrow of Olycos. They were assigned to stay on Luna during the battle for Mercury. Supported Virginia's escape to Mars. 27,000 remain out of the original 50,000. As of the siege of Phobos, their numbers are up to 30,000. Terry says, I finished Lightbringer and I don't remember how chapter 42 ends. I can quote it. I can almost quote it verbatim for you. Are you ready? Do you have a call sign, Lyria? Yeah, it's Red Baron. You know you should... lies are never good way to start a friendship.
Red Banshee.
Red Banshee. What did I say?
Baron.
Banshee.
Which is a World War I pilot.
Good.
Yeah.
Red Banshee. You almost certainly misquoted it, but I'm sure you were close, says Brandon. I absolutely misquoted it. I can't land the quote as 100% ever. Fun fact about me. Sorry. It's Red Banshee. And he's like, well, lies are never befitting for starting a friendship. What is it really? And she said, Struffle Pig.
Full pig.
And he's like, oh, you definitely should not have told me that. That was really fun. God, I love Cassius nearly as much as Lyria does. Lyria likes Cassius, says K. Frito. Yeah. City says immediately flubs it. Oh, wait. The start of that was, I can do it word for word, she says. Immediately flubs it. Yeah, that's right on point for me. Right on point. My arrogance is my weakness when it comes to quotes. Okay, but I want to throw it over to Members Plus in there. What are we feeling? Who wants to give me their first impressions of Lightbringer? I think before the show we had a little powwow and we all, bar one, are on the same page that the vibes of Lightbringer are a lot lighter than Dark Age thus far. So who wants to weigh in on the first half of LB? Who's going first?
I'll go first.
Or do we
What the
do
hell?
good news, bad news, and do we get the bad news out of the way first and throw it over to Jeff?
If you wanna have Jeff put his negatives out and then we can just drown it in positive
let's
vibes.
Let's do that. Smeckhead, thank you so much for the follow, by the way. Welcome to our Lightbringer discussion. We are just talking about the first half of the book. Jeff, the floor is yours.
All right. What I guess I will say is, yawn. I don't know. I thought the first half of this book was like all set up, and I don't know. I'm assuming more happens. I stopped when I was supposed to stop, or almost. Actually, I think I went to like chapter 4 on that. But yeah, I it's fine.
Yawn.
It's fine.
You said yawn. You said yawn. Okay.
I
Okay.
did say yawn.
Yep. Yep.
The first half.
It's
The first half,
wild.
It's set up. It's set up.
Because one of my big thoughts that I had was like, man, this book, like every page gives you something. Every conversation gives you something. K Frito says, hey, there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of setup in part 1. City also says, flexes fingers in prep to destroy, whatever Jeff says. All right, City, you're up in the comments. Tim, you said you wanted to weigh in. What are you thinking about the first half?
I said I would go first, but no, I'm like at a 5 out of 5 on this so far. Unlike Jeff, I'm not bored by the setup, but maybe that's because I have a tendency to predict what's going to happen, and I can see how the pieces are going to fit together at the latter half of the book. So I'm kind of amped up to see if I'm right.
Oh, that's fun. Okay, so you're literally watching the chessboard, and you're like invested in the game.
100%.
No, go
100%.
Jeff. Go Jeff. I saw that unmute. Let's go.
If you can predict everything, that's not a good thing.
No,
Colleen's laughing her head off.
Predict might be the wrong word. I have an idea of what's gonna happen, and now I want to know if I'm right, because I like being right.
Everyone has different ways to enjoy things. Yeah, you're looking at all the parts and you're seeing that you can build it. Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting. Terry says, oh no, Cassius is 35 and Lyria is 19. I didn't realize the age gap. I don't think it's like that at all. I think Cassius is just like so desperate to almost, not desperate. He is aware of his impact and presence, and he's almost trying to make Lyria just feel safe or comfortable, or loves the fact that he's able to rattle her like that.
Cassius is hot and he knows it. That's what it is. It's a problem with people who are hot and they know it.
More charitably, Cassius is an outcast, and he never expected to have this sort of relationship with a red who's been as scorned by society as Lyria. So I'm just saying, maybe more charitably, this is just Cassius.
Also, Cassius has the biggest crush ever on Aurea.
Ori's very interesting, and I found myself like checking back in with that a lot, being like, what is her story? And we've kind of found out
she's a cool character.
She's fun. She's really cool. And I really love the agency that Pinks get in this book. And like ever since sort of like Darrow has changed things, like Theodora, not so much Evie,
Who
but
knew
she thought
Mateo was a badass?
Mateo's a fucking legend. Like, I don't know. There's like really, really cool things, but I love the agency we get. I also, just because this is a thought that ran through my mind as well, and I was like, man, is this something that I want to talk to Pierce about, who has not answered my text yet, but he's not at call for me. So yeah, I have managed my expectations with him. What I actually loved what he did, a lot of the books in the romantasy genres and romance especially, there's such an emphasis on looks. Like, if you are good looking, doors open for you. If you are good looking, the prince falls in love with you. Being good looking is so great. Golds are, statured very perfectly. They're very, very tall. They're very, very strong. They're very domineering. They're very good looking. Pinks are breathtaking, and it is their biggest undoing. So yes, they are literally like the pollen on the flower. They are drawing you in. You must have it. But they're literally taking something that's never been given. But the permission is the piece of like, well, you're a pink and that is your job. And therefore you are perfect. You are desirable. You are like, perfection. And they never get anything out of it, really. It's just that they are a plaything. Vane says pinks are breathtaking but also fragile. Yes, they are literally built and made to be breakable so that they do not have the strength literally to fight back. Max says, hi, I'm a follower from far abroad. I'm here for a good conversation. Max, where are you watching in from? Welcome here. We're doing book club. We're talking about book 6 in the Red Rising saga. It's Lightbringer by Pierce Brem. But that was a really interesting thing. Who else wants to weigh in about the first half of the book? Is book good? Romania. Whoa. Yes. Go KP Dubs.
Well, I put this in Fable, but the dramatis personae on the first 5 pages of the book was a bit daunting and thought there might be a few too many characters. So I started off giving the book a preliminary 1 out of 5 rating because there was going to be too many confusing characters.
Uh-huh.
My rating's probably up to a 4 out of 5 right now, because I felt it was much, much better. I didn't like the repetitiveness of the previous 2 books. This one is not like that. So I don't mind the setup, and I like where it's going, and I feel it's a lot more fun.
I know that Jeff has an issue with that, where Darrow is kind of doing the same thing every time and expecting different results. And that can be a little problematic. Really quickly, I do want to do, for those diehards, I want to do a little pop quiz here. I'm going to read out some characters, and you're going to tell me who they are. Sappy Snaky says, the first half was so great about giving the reader a refresh of what you needed to know as you went along. It was very great exposition, subtly kind of reminding you, because a big part of this book is big actions have bigger consequences. And Darrow is finding out more and more. He needs a quick fix. He needs like a quick solution. Like he's willing to just out all of the members of Sons of Ares in the Rim so that he can get what he needs in this particular moment, because that's the most important thing. And now we're living through the consequence of these actions, which is super important. Okay, here is a couple. Who is Diana of Lycos? That's an easy one. We'll start off somewhat easy.
We're supposed to shout out here.
Thank you, City. Yeah, no, everyone just go.
That's Darrow's mom.
That's Darrow's mom. Great. Colloway Cha. Who's that?
He's the pilot. He's the fighter pilot, the hotshot.
Nicely
Maverick.
done.
Maverick, yeah.
Who is Atlas Alra?
He's the scary guy that puts heads on pikes.
One of my favorite characters. That's who he is.
Why?
Sword of Damocles.
The Sword of Damocles, yeah.
Because he's pure in the evil way. You know, like you know that he is efficient. I love Atlas.
Who is Kaiba?
Kyber is the super spy with Lysander. She's one of his like
Lancers.
grays. It's like insane good at her job.
Holiday. It's Darrow's holiday.
Yeah, 100%. It's holiday.
Who is Scipio?
What?
Scipio Alfalfe. Falta.
Isn't he already dead?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
dead. He's dead. Who cares?
From
Wait,
Dark Ages. That was Alfalfa.
Pallas
Wasn't he one-
Algreca? Pallas?
Who?
It's 2 L's, so it could be Payas. No, Pallas Algreca?
I don't know.
Oh, he's one of the golds, but I forget what he does.
Chariot Racer. The Bologna
right.
Chariot Racer.
Oh, the
Bologna.
Bologna.
her. I believe it's her pronoun.
Does anyone remember who the Eater of Joy is? You are. You haven't met him yet, says City. Ooh, fun. Now I found out who's read ahead and who hasn't.
City's read this whole series like 15 times. He's cheating.
That's fun. Alrighty, so that was a fun little pop quiz. Let's get stuck into it. The first part of you haven't met him. Cough. Also going back through City's answers. Ready? Blue pilot for the Howlers. Darrow's mum. Check. Blue pilot for the Howlers. Check. Fear Knight. Check. Bodyguard. Check. Lancer for the Ballooners. Check. You haven't met him yet. A+. City crushed it.
And City's cheating. He's read this series like 15 times.
Is it cheating or is it excelling? You put in the work, you get the results. I love that academic, and I like. I have, for those that don't know it, let's talk a little bit about the series. Darrow returns as Pierce Brown's New York Times bestselling Red Rising series continues in the thrilling sequel to Dark Age. And there's a quote from Virginia Augustus saying, "The measure of a man is not the fear he sows in his enemies. It is the hope that he gives his friends." And hope is what we needed from this book. The Reaper is a legend, more myth than man, the savior of worlds, the leader of the rising, the breaker of chains. But the Reaper is also Darrow, born of the red soil of Mars, a husband, a father, a friend. The worlds once needed the Reaper, but now they need Darrow. Because after the Dark Age will come a new age of light, of victory, and of hope. The beginning of this book did such an amazing job, I feel, of showing us just how down, broken, desolate, alone, not only Darrow is, but anyone who stuck by Darrow, or who's still in the picture. That moment between Screwface and Darrow, where the team is kind of hearing more and more just Screwface like bringing morale down, pulling the threads, isolating, getting closed up. Screwface is, and this is a quote that came from the book as well, like Screwface's biggest issue was him always feeling slightly under. It's his ego. He always felt insecure. So his biggest issue was insecurity. He was always not good enough look. Like Darren says, I have zero memory of Screwface. Screwface is one of the original Howlers. So Screwface has been there from day one. But you remember the runt squad of the Howlers? Like Sevro was shorter. It was Clown, Pebble, Screwface. He was one of those Howlers that were rejected. They were like a bunch of reject rascals that weren't even supposed to be in that particular playground, like the killing fields, because they shouldn't have passed. They should have died when they had the passage and were teamed up against like a gold that should have survived. So they are quite quintessentially the underdogs. Now, Screwface always wanted to be, I think he idolized sort of like the Darrows and the Cassiuses because he never was that. And his insecurities sort of like festered inside of him. So in Dark Age, when there was an opportunity for him to be carved, to be changed, and to sort of have his looks bettered, to go undercover, he did that. And for quite some time, maybe Academic or City, you can tell me how long that really was. Was it about 3 years? 3 years?
I think it said in this book 3 years, yeah.
Yeah. He went undercover to basically work for the enemies, to extract information and to be a key spy in what was going on. And during Dark Age, when shit went down, he basically got scalped. And that has undone all the work that the carving had done to sort of like build up his importance, build up his sense of self. And so now he's just sort of like a bit fettered. He's just very disillusioned by it all. He's very down and out. And Darrow thinks he can fix it with a book. He likes reading. Here, this will cheer him up. Dude doesn't have a scalp. He is wearing a beanie. He's in a room isolating. Like, the man is broken. And there was a quote that I put in the fable. If you're looking for a free book club that have chapter breakdowns where once you finish a chapter, you can jump in with the community to talk about said chapter, look up Fable. It's free. There's a link. Maude's book club and Maude's bonus book club. We do 2 books a month. Follow those. Join in those conversations. They've got a really cool feature where you can do a quote. And it's Darrow basically saying to Screwball, like, you're a howler. Screwball. Face. Screwface. Screwball. Screwface. He's a screwball.
Face.
I would say
Screwface.
it to his face that he's a screwball. Screwface.
He also has mostly metal limbs now too.
Yeah, he didn't even have his leg replaced when it was cut off,
Yeah.
so he had to like put a makeshift almost like broom into his to walk around. It was quite bad. Snore says, "Did I forget something? Where did this book that Darrow keeps referencing come from?" Ori had it, and I want to talk about the book probably after this as well. The importance of sort of like a proverbial passages to guide people in a way of life. The Path to the Veil is what it's called, and Ori has planted that seed for Darrow to read. And Darrow's kind of like really reading it. He's giving him some clarity actually that maybe he needs. It's the Red Rising Bible. Yeah, pretty much. And that's a really interesting thing as well. Like I want to know what to Pierce that represents. Also, Mana Valkyrie, thank you so much for the follow. And Shadow, thanks for the follow as well. Catch says, in Lightbringer, Darrow finds religion. Well, it's interesting because I think when people are rock bottom, a lot of the time an external belief is the hope to get someone out of that hole. When you can't believe in yourself, sometimes, you find solace in believing in something else, something bigger than you, which again sort of like falls back into the light, right? It's like there's more symbology behind that as well. All that to say, Darrow's got no fucking hair. He's welding a ship. His friends don't like him. A lot of them have abandoned him. He doesn't have supplies. He doesn't have resources. He doesn't even have helium. Cassius is out on a run to do all of that. Pierce did a really great job setting us up where I'm like, oh my God. In that descriptor, you have just seen that he barely survived Dark Age. Like, this is rough. And when there's an opportunity to go home, because Darrow loves a solid self-flagellation, decides to not go home. He has this whole deity martyr complex where he was tasked with stopping a war, and every single time he gets further away from that goal, he doubles down. It's his job. He's shirked fatherhood. He's shirked so many other things. He's, let his friends walk away because he needs to single-handedly finish the war. Dark Age was the box, said City. Yeah, but like 8 months straight, of the box. Academic says, what's the difference between symbology and symbolism? Willem Dafoe definitely says there's a difference. Let's find out. Unless it's a pun and I don't get it.
Symbology is the study of symbols.
Is that really it?
No idea.
Symbology refers to the study and analysis of symbols, while symbolism refers to the act of using symbols to represent a deeper meaning or concept. So we are dealing with symbolism and not symbology.
I love being right. I love being right.
Can we say symbols?
Yeah, he's talking about a movie, though.
Hey!
Thank you, Lisa.
Did I say symbology? Because, we are
You
talking
did
about
say
symbolism.
symbology.
Oh, it's symbolism. Maude, stop sounding too smart because you're wrong. Symbolism. But symbolism is also the study of symbols.
Mm-mm.
No, wait. It is. Someone do it. Someone play that fucking noise. I'm just waiting for it. Thank you. Ugh. All right.
That would have been better if it was just a crash symbol and no rim shot.
What if it was just the ride symbol? Ding. Ding. That was a drum joke. Anyway, anyone have any input or thoughts on the opening of this book? What did it make you feel? Were you like, oh my God, we're in for the long haul? Or were you like, oh, that's right. Thanks for the catch up.
I was stressing myself out when I first started it because I was so worried about where Sevro was that I was like, I don't even want to read it. I'm afraid he's dead. Like, I was freaking out. So I was very happy that wasn't true. But yeah, so in the beginning, I was very, very stressed. But then as I got into it, I definitely am enjoying this book a lot more than Dark Age. Dark Age was like a big depressing hole for me. So
I got the answer from Pierce.
How vague is it?
You.
In typical Pierce fashion, how vague is the answer?
You're going to be as irate as I feel. Are you ready? To recap, we wondered, this Pegasus, does it represent Lysander in Lightbringer or does it represent Darrow? I said, is the Pegasus on the Lightbringer cover Lysander or Darrow? And he responded, exactly.
Yes.
He gave both.
I was the most right, is what I'm hearing.
Or it could be both. I mean,
He
That's what I
basically
said.
said yes. Yes, it is.
Lysander is Darrow. That's what he's playing at.
One of them will be the light bringer for the people. We don't know which one yet.
There we go.
You know, that's an interesting point, Ken, because the whole intro of this book, I kept thinking, does Lysander want the same thing that Darrow wants, just in a
No.
drastically different way?
No.
Yes,
wants
There were points where it felt like that a lot.
I mean, it's
I
pretty different.
think Lysander talks like that, but Lysander, he, in a way, he wants it, but he wants it in the preserved society. He still wants the hierarchy of the golds and the he wants peace and an ideal world, but after his fashion, with the gold still being on top, preserving society, so to speak.
I love that everyone's kind of got a near adjacent take on this as well. City says Lysander isn't Darrow. Lysander is the Reaper. Their goals are not the same, but the way they want to go about them is. I think that there are so many parallels. I'm going to get into them. The parallels distinctly between the two.
Well,
but
before we move off of that first question, though,
yeah,
can we talk about Lysander and the opening of the book?
Yeah.
Is he just like a little smarmy little fuck? Like
Yeah, he's a little
everybody
shit.
else?
Yeah, he's a little shit. Yeah.
All right, he's out there playing games while like our guys are struggling in the A belt and limping home, and but Lysander, throwing Palatine games and
People aren't RSVPing
but-
to my invitations.
But also, that's what happens when you win. Lysander won. When it comes to Mercury, Lysander won, and when you win, you get to enjoy it.
Well,
that's what happens. I mean, I don't disagree that he was kind of being a shit, but he won, and when you win, you get to enjoy it.
But I
don't
also
know if it's the same.
The guys that lose the World Series aren't in the locker rooms popping champagne bottles. It doesn't happen.
yes,
When Darrow
but you go, academic.
When Darrow wins against Octavia, it's not straight to champagne. It's my campaign continues. It's we have to now take over Earth.
I don't disagree with you there, but I think Lysander was playing a different game. I think Lysander's campaign was still continuing. He was trying to politico his way into all of these different factions and getting them on his side so that he could then go take on Phobos and Mars. I don't think he ever really intended on joining Atalantia. He knew, he's like, I'm going to Mars. It's got to happen. And I think his campaign didn't stop. He was just going about it differently than Darrow.
Well, in a Politico route.
Darrow is a straight line of chaos.
Also, credit where credit's due. Lysander, there's two beautiful things that I think happened with Lysander in this particular opening area. We see just how inferior he is on the battlefield. Like, he has panic. He feels his mortality is very reminded. Like, he has these moments, which I believe is a technique that Pierce is using to just subtly make us not respect Lysander and not like Lysander, where or is it making him more vulnerable and personable? But when he has these moments, like we see Darrow just not even sweat it. He's like, right, what needs to be done will get done. Whereas Lysander's like, okay, I'm in here. Oh, I'm throwing up. I don't want to die. What am I doing? Oh no, I have to get back into it. And he has these fractured moments where we're like, why the fuck is this guy trying to run shit? He's not the best person for the job. Same thing in the Chariot dialogue and conversations. He's getting so pouty that people aren't RSVPing to him. They're taking policies or they're having conversations sort of over his head. They're talking down to him. But at the same time, he's kind of sorting things out behind the scenes with Apple. We're calling him Apple instead of Apollonius. It's a very Reddit thing to do, I've discovered. But Apollonius, he's building an alliance there and giving Apollonius an army to kind of have that to bring into his, I guess, armada. And he's doing the same thing with the Carthii. And he's kind of pulling some strings in a really clever way, which I respect, because we're seeing his insecurity surface, but then he's also a part of the game. It's just like he's a few steps behind where Darrow is, and we respect Darrow so much, having been fed his point of view for so long. that he's trying to be Darrow, but he's not as good. And so there's little things that are done with the writing where we are not respecting him. So the things that I want to ask you, why is it that you do not like Lysander? And had the whole series been written from Lysander's point of view, Darrow pretended to help him and kidnapped him as a child. Darrow was the cause of all of the trauma. Lysander worshipped Darrow as a kid, absolutely worshipped the ground he walked on. He studied Darrow. He studied what happened in Red Rising. He worshipped the ground he walked on, and Darrow made him a pawn in war. He basically was like, sorry, Pawn, my accent, just want to clarify. But that's kind of where Lysander's trauma started. Had we have gone through Lysander's point of view, would this have been a very different conversation? Let's weigh it in. City says hypocrisy. K. Freya says because Pierce can write. That's why. Catch-22 says hot take, I don't hate Lysander. Academic says yes, he worshipped the Reaper. Keep It Up says, yep, I've heard it all. Lol. Jeff says, I like Lysander. He's very understandable. Let me learn more about that.
Well, I guess I'd say purely from a utilitarian perspective, he does what he has to do to get what he wants. And whether, I mean, yes, he's kind of, he learns, right? He learns from the people that went before him. He learned from Darrow. He's learning from, he even learned from Octavia. He's learned from everybody, and he's kind of figuring it out. He's still a young kid, really. And as he grows more and more to learn more and more, he's getting smarter on how he does. I guess I don't think he's like, he's doing what he thinks is right.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't think what he's doing is evil.
He is not a villain.
He's doing what is right, and he is just trying to make the world stable and safe for everyone.
But he feels that that is by changing the attitudes of the gold, whereas Darrow feels like it's removing all the colors and just being sort of people in a way. He feels like he has to break the system to rebuild somewhat.
Agreed.
Whereas Lysander's just like, hey, can we all stop bitching about everyone for 2 seconds? And can we just get along? And can we just be nice to each other? And you're like, yeah, if that worked. Academic, your hand's been up.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with what Jeff's saying there. I think that that Lysander does care about the society, but he also does care about people's dispositions to each other. So like he does care for the low colors. But I also think Jeff's right in that he's learning lessons from those who came before him. And since I highlighted that and City also said he adored and worshipped the Reaper, and the lesson that utilitarian lesson that he learned from the Reaper was not the one that Darrow was really trying to teach. When Darrow was quote unquote utilitarian, the sacrifices that he made for those that he was trying to protect was a joint collaborative effort, whereas Lysander is the dictator. He is making the decisions for those around him without actually meaningfully like getting their input and making sure they're all signed on to the same thing.
Love that. And I think that we're hearing more and more. Hold on, who said it? Sappy Snake. He says, I found myself cheering for Lysander during his chapters and cheering for Darrow in his own chapters. I, in a way, also had that. I go on Reddit and it's just like, I think someone even said it just here now. There is no gray. Reddit has no gray area for Lysander, says Necrosia. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I read this book though, and I'm like, I see Lysander as the solution to Atalantia, who's the problem. Like, that's their own dispute. The fact that they're crossing and only one of those can win, and that's what the actual war is about, that sucks. Because, like, the war that I like Lysander fighting is to bring down Atalantia. She is so problematic. I will get into that. I am mad at Atalantia. I do not like... You cannot call someone a young boy to their face and then take them to bed. You know? You can't do that. You can't do both. You can't do that.
This is Atlantia. She has much worse problems than that. Like, even for the evil. Like, they described one of her things in the past that was particularly bad. So she's...
Yeah, I don't like her.
Super evil.
So, like, I see Lysander, and next to fucking Atalantia, oh wait, that shouldn't have used that swear word in particular in that run of sentences. But compared to Atalantia, Lysander's a saint. Yeah, I'm cheering for Lysander. There is always worse. What she's willing to do, horrible. Joval and Scooby Doob, thank you so much for the follow. Thanks for joining in the conversation about Lightbringer as well. We clearly have some howlers showing up here. Joval says Lysander learns from everybody but Cassius, apparently. Ugh, 10 years and you couldn't, Cassius, and you couldn't, like.
Of course not. He was drunk the whole time.
Okay. Oh my God, Cassius.
Okay, but just let's look at any teenager we've ever known, and when they're in those teenage years,
How often do they listen to an adult?
They rebel against their adult figure. Well, this makes sense that Lysander does whatever is the opposite of what Cassius taught. That makes sense.
It just must be so hard for Cassius. Like Cassius outside, like breaking fourth wall here. Cassius' biggest struggle is that he's lost his purpose as a character. Like he shone in the first trilogy. Like he was best friends and then he was rival and then, you know, like that was fantastic. Iron Gold, Dark Age. I mean, Cassius wasn't even really in Dark Age. Cassius has really struggled with purpose and what he's doing. And for 10 years, he sacrificed his home, being a gold status. You know, he was a revered Olympic knight. And he just kind of like stepped all that aside to invest in Lysander. So for that to have not gone successfully in the big picture makes me sad for Cassius. I don't know if you're new here. I do not tolerate Cassius Salander. He is my man. No,
Cassius has had nothing but a string of failures. I mean,
Don't you say? What did I just say?
No, but I'm trying to kind of explain where his head's at, because you think about he didn't win in the Institute. He didn't win as the Olympic knight or whichever knight he was when he was, you know, he eventually ran away from that.
He didn't get the girl.
He didn't get the girl. He failed at training Lysander to be, I guess, not society. I mean, he's just had a string of failures, and now
he's
he
still
has
alive.
a drinking problem, or he has had a drinking problem. It's pretty evident that he has a drinking problem, and that doesn't help.
No.
I kind of wonder if, and this is kind of jumping ahead of where we are in the discussion, but I kind of wonder if Lyria isn't going to be part of his redemption arc from that.
Well, I mean, Lyria is another character that needs purpose.
Right. But I think that those two matched up. I mean, I don't think they're going to get together per se, but I think those two matched up are definitely going to be part of each other's kind of redemption arc.
I think if you're looking at any two characters that kind of need a bit of saving, it's those two. So they could save each other. I get that. Jeff reminds us that he didn't sacrifice anything. He ran away. Yep. What? KP Dub says he's such a failure he couldn't even die correctly. You need to leave. That is unacceptable. City says Lyria is another character who can understand the world hating them. Cassius for his betrayals, Lyria for being Gamma. Yeah, Cassius, I loved his dialogue. Oh, I'm a stan. But I love Cassius's dialogue because he has a level of vulnerability in here. Like he's openly like, oh, I'm in love with this woman who does not love me back. I'm aware of this. I tried to train up someone who actually backfired completely. I am just hated by the people whose side I'm now on because of my previous actions when I was an Olympic knight. I'm the person who killed Fitchner, and yet I'm trying to save the like I'm a part of the revolution. Like I get it. And I think that he's been really trying to wash the blood off his hands. He's been trying to right his wrongs, and those 10 years of isolation was trying to find anything that he could do to just do some good, to cleanse his sort of soul and to understand these decisions. Like his biggest gripe is always going to be like honor and survival are really difficult to maintain.
I think one of the common themes from the book with a lot of characters is like a sense of redemption.
Yeah.
Like their past issues or past crimes or past failures or whatever. So they're all trying to work on, like Darrow gets better. Darrow finally starts learning, listening to Virginia. Like Sevro's figuring out his situation right now, but like Cassius is trying to do this. So many characters are just going through working through their trials.
Mm-hmm. I think redemption is a really big part of this, and I think especially now that we've had so much story, redemption's been an arc throughout this already as well. Like there's been plenty. Tactus is a great example of redemption. Ajax in this book is a great example. I know, sorry to bring that up. That was a tough one, academic. I've thrown him into a spin. Scoob says, Cassius is a simple man thrown into a complex family. There is simplicity in how he felt like he could conduct himself. Honor. Loyalty. But golds are fucked up. Like, let's be honest. Holy shit, the stuff that happens there. You're just like, what is wrong with you? Which is why I'm kind of like, yeah, Lysander, show a mirror. Like, hold them accountable. Tell them that what they're doing is absolutely unacceptable. But he hasn't. He is earning their respect. He is loved, but golds don't want to be held accountable for anything. There's a lot happening.
Part of me wonders if Lysander isn't loved because he's a loon. I think name goes a long way in gold society. Name goes a long way, and I feel like he's earned a lot of the people that follow him because of his name. At this point,
Yes, I think that is the reason why the readers hate him, is because he's a loon.
Yeah, but that's a stupid reason to hate somebody.
Nah.
He's a lunatic, says K-Frito. Burn.
I think that's a stupid reason to hate somebody. Like I said, I don't hate Lysander. I think he's very compelling.
I do too. Academic, yes, before you lose that thought.
Oh no, sorry, I'm not right. I'm scratching my elbow, but
Got
you know, I do think that that first of all, he sort of earned the love of the low colors in the core because of his actual investment into rebuilding Mercury, the horrible conditions that they were in before they came and took over Mercury. So I think it's reasonable for people to like him. As for why the golds like him, it's because of, I think you're right, Tim. It's because of his name. They see power and they flock to it, right? So
well, how
there's
long
two different sides to it.
How long was Octavia reigning as sovereign?
Too long.
Wait, like multiple days, like almost, yeah. Like, was it 4 scores? I can't remember.
It was a long time. Longer than typical, because I think, wasn't she sovereign for longer than anybody had ever been sovereign?
Yeah, it was a long time.
City says, I would say Lysander doesn't have many people who really love him. They just follow him because he thinks that they can gain things by following him. I hear what you're saying. And someone said, I feel like, Darren says, I feel like this is how most of gold society is. Yeah, they're opportunistic. They're like, all right, who are you? What can you do for me? Great. I'm going to step on you to get ahead, or I'm going to obliterate you, or I'm going to, all that kind of stuff. Oh, hold on. Do we have a mod in here? Thank you. Get the fuck out of here, my dude. 61 years, Stargirl says. 61 years she was sovereign. And, you know, I feel like if golds really honor and worship anything, it's hierarchy. It's an easy thing to instate when you're at the top of the food chain. But there is still that, like, even though Atalantia, and they keep, you know, reminding in the language that she's the sworn. What was it? There's like a phrase that was used where it's like she's the legitimate heir, or she's the if there's a spoiler, can we delete the spoilers in the comments so I don't read it out loud and ruin it for everyone?
It wasn't a direct spoiler. It was an indirect spoiler.
Okay. Essentially,
Terry is guilty of it.
No, you just threw him under the bus. Love it.
I 100% threw him under the bus. He knows what he did.
He's like, long story short, we hate Atalantia. I think we all know that Lysander would be better. I think the golds are recognizing that Lysander would be better, even though he is very, very young and he is still learning. One of the things that we were talking about a lot just before was that Lysander is learning from the people before him. How do we know that? Phobos. Drill claws. They were claw drills. There were claw drills, and they were using the red gammas. That is literally a page stolen out of Darrow's textbook. He's doing exactly what Darrow had done previously that worked. Now Lysander is doing that. Is that a middle finger to Darrow? Absolutely. Back to Darrow. there are so many ways he is learning that he needs to stay evolved. So what he has done has worked, but now his enemies are doing that. The Willow way no longer works. He got his butt kicked by Apollonius. So everything that he was excelling in that made him 3 steps ahead, he is now easily 5 steps behind. In his physicality, he is broken at like 30. He's 35 in this. Like, his shoulder's been dislocated so many times. Like, he's just a walking bag of agony. But he doesn't have a new law now, Arcos, to teach him more of like what's working now. Like, fighting styles are going to evolve. You have to be forecasting trends. You know, you have to go, what's next? What's working? You have to think ahead. And Darrow's been at war for so long that their growth, like, he's had no opportunity to grow. Whereas Lysander is ripe for growth. And he's excelling in that particular way. I don't even know what the hell Apollonius has been doing this whole time. Is he a mystic with a hood up going in the sands of time? Is he in the bloody mind's eye? Did he learn that from Lysander already? Like, Apollonius is such a freaking myth at this stage. Is he friends with Darrow? Is he going to fuck Darrow over? Is he like on side with Lysander? Apollonius is such an enigma. But the one thing I learned about him is that dude does not drop. He does not go down. You think you can trank him, the Minotaur, and keep him as a prisoner? Oh, and really? Come on, guys. Jovel says Apple is pure chaos. He is definitely spinning shit, which is fun. What do you mean think again? What do you mean think again? Oh, think again. Got it. I thought it was like something else that had happened. And I was like, what? KP Dub says, when I read that there is only 1 gold with a first name. So that one
there's too many golds with A names. They all blend together in my head. I get them confused. So
oh my god, so do I. Atalantia, Ajax, Atlas.
Yeah.
There's like
Good
previous
stuff.
ones. I'm like, stop it! Don't talk about them. If they're dead, don't mention them again. I'm focused. Vaden says, I'm definitely interested in the eventual rematch of Darrow and Apollonius. I'm really liking Darrow again in this book. Yeah, except when it's like, it's time to go home. And everyone's like, we want to go home. And he's like, I'm not. You don't have to join me. He says that so often. You don't have to join me, but I'm going to recklessly run headfirst into this bullshit thing that none of you are going to support. You don't have to join me. I'll just do it alone. Don't follow me. But to go back on how Darrow's just rusty AF at the moment, he walked straight into the trap to rescue Sevro. He fell for the audio recording. How many times has he done a prison break? How many times has this happened? How did he walk into, and fucking Cassius walk into the cell and be that? The first 3 books, what Darrow was so good at is he had a plan, and then that plan had a plan, and if that didn't work, there were 3 more plans ready to go. He is just like, I have to get Sevro. There's no ifs, no buts. I'm not even going to put any attention to this. I'm just going to blindly go here. KP Dubs, are you ever going to not fall for that? Loki quote. Exactly. Like, City says, if only there were a few pages that could refamiliarize you with all of those names. Oh, the A's at the start of the book. There are. Academic says, Atlas and Apollonius are my favorite bad guy characters so far. They're such strong characters that have so much gravitas when they pop up. I'm hooked on every word when they speak. I feel like the interesting villains, so to speak, the bad guys.
So, but who knows?
Oh, is it back on? It just said it reconnected.
Hey, you sound fine. You sound fine.
Fine.
Okay, I think we're back.
I think everyone has to
Yay.
refresh. Can you ask people to refresh the stream? If they can't. Refresh stream. Sorry guys, that was I was really in the middle of it too. And everyone's like, "Wah, wah, wah, wah." And I'm like, what? And apparently my internet was like, fuck you. And I was like, no, not right now. I'm in the middle of a stream. And it just rebooted and now we're fine. So there you go. Can anyone tell me what I was saying?
Care for the villains. How much you like the villains, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shades of Grey. Atalantia is like so obviously a villain. Apollonius has previously worked really well with Darrow. Didn't kill Darrow when he could have. And then No, I wasn't. I was not talking about Mustang City. I see what you're doing. We'll get there. We'll get there. And how Apollonius at this stage like betrayed Darrow and like fought him but didn't kill him either. So it's like a really confusing, brilliant, beautiful sort of relationship. Atlas, I don't really know as well. Atlas really confused me in Dark Age. I was like, who is he really working for? What does he really want out of all of this? Like, what do you mean, Jeff? You thought it was obvious? Yeah, hit me with it. I found Atlas confusing.
I think Atlas is like the most pure, predictable character there is. Like, he has a specific point of view, and he follows it. He doesn't stray. Like, and he is forceful, and he will do whatever it takes to achieve whatever it is that he has decided in his moral compass or whatever to.
But is he deciding, or is he working under Atalantia?
Yeah,
Well,
I
he
feel like
is,
his
but that's the point. Like, his view is that whatever Atalantia is the sovereign currently, dictator, whatever, and so what is right is to do her bidding, whatever that means, whatever that is, and that's it. And he doesn't like stray. He doesn't even have a moral thought about that.
point of contention.
Yes.
I think you're right that his mode of operation is very straightforward, and he is rough and ram and roughshod. Like he'll go for it. But I am still unconvinced of what his motivations are if he does want to follow the dictator. Because remember, in Dark Age, he's the one who freed Lysander, who Atalantia was already scheming against.
That's what I
Like,
mean. That's what
Yeah.
confused me. That's what didn't make sense, and it like kind of threw a spanner. Wrench. We're getting rated right now, by the way. Book club. Hello, everyone who's rated. Balian versus Predator. Hi, Bales. How are you, love? You were just playing Balatro. What is that? I hope your stream was fantastic. If you're not following, and the name is a pun in itself, so that's worth it alone. Balian versus Predator. Please go give her a follow right now. She's been streaming a lot more lately, and it's been really, really fun to check it out and watch. KP Dubs doing a big warm welcome for all the raiders as well by gifting 5 gift subs to Flatlined, Olasgaki, Kwaski, Barley, and Dank and Watch. Why does that sound sus? What we're doing right now, though, everyone, is I run a book club. It's a sci-fi fantasy book club. We focus on 2 books every single month. There will be a main book, which we split up over 2 parts, and then we'll do a bonus book. But the 2 parts, we are currently into part 1 of Lightbringer by Pierce Brown. It is book 6 in the Red Rising series. The first half means we're not doing full spoilers. We're just talking about the first half of it. The way that we run book club around here is that members have access to a Discord channel and a document where we have sort of the rundown of our talking points. Those who are members plus, which is a Patreon perk, are all in a Discord video call, so we can actually conduct a book club discussion as if we're in the same room together. So they're the voices that you're going to be hearing, the conversation that we're going to be happening. The thing is, this isn't like you've stumbled upon into a video game and you can kind of like vicariously enjoy it. We are talking about a book that if you haven't read it will be very confusing. So in saying that, Bailey, I love you, but if you've read Lightbringer, let's go. Let's fucking go. If you haven't, it will be a little confusing. But we're all cool around here. Hell, my swear count is at 1,021 right now. If that's your thing, great. I do video game streams. That's on the weekends usually. So if you want to follow just for that, thank you. I think they're all gone, says City. Quintuple digits when? That'd be nice. I did do video game streams. All right, well, that was them. Now we can go back to talking about Lightbringer. Book good. Book good. Book good. I would like to bring the conversation. There's so much. We're running out of time. Oh my gosh, of course this is happening. The parallels between Lysander and Darrow. They're popping up more and more. I did a little research to flesh out the list as well. Hello, Catnip Ninja. Thank you for the raid as well. What's up? What's up? How you been? Let's do a little shout out for you as well. How's the stream going? Oh, you're playing D&D? That's fun. Tell me all about your character, please. I love D&D. All right, the parallels between Darrow and Lysander. Are you ready? They had a mentor that preached caution about switching sides. Mentor preaching caution that switch sides. They switch sides. So for Darrow, it was Lorne Arcos. So Lorne was technically on their side, didn't want to continue the war, wanted to space himself from Darrow, and ended up being put in a position where he had to go on Darrow's side. So switch sides. Glorastes is the same. He's kind of like veered and had found loyalties, different loyalties along the way. They both have a best friend turned rival. For Darrow, it was Cassius. For Lysander, it was Ajax. They've both had a redemption of a rival. For Darrow, it was Tactus. For Lysander, it was Ajax. They both have a grey right hand. For Darrow, it was Holiday. Was Trig for a second. Sorry, too soon. Pierce gave me more of an answer. That's not an answer. For
more vague.
Yes, for Lysander, it was Roan. They both have a blue in their life that is really important to them. For Darrow, it was Orion, rest in peace. For Lysander, it was Pytha. They're both technically married or going to be married to a sovereign. Darrow's Virginia. Lysander's is Atalantia. Ugh. And then obviously they have a baddie ship that the book is named after. It's the same ship. For Darrow, it was Morningstar, and for Lysander, it is Lightbringer. Also, going into that Morningstar and Lightbringer metaphor, it feels like, like they're on the same sort of trajectory in that point of life, like where Morningstar was Darrow sort of like thinking it was all coming to an end. He was doing the right thing. Lysander's the same sort of thing. He's going to take Lightbringer into what he thinks will be the end of the war as well. Anyway, this is setting up Lysander to be his mirror rival. And in saying that, okay. So my response to him saying, is it Lysander or Darrow on the cover, the Pegasus of the book? He said, exactly. And I said, so it's both? Who is it to you? I was like, you can't get out of that. Who is it to you? And he says, it's both in their own way, but it's up to the reader. I stay out of defining that.
Okay, thanks, Picasso.
That's not what I
That's actually a line
asked.
from Picasso. He said the exact same thing about one of his paintings called Guernica.
It's so funny.
What the symbols meant, and he says, I don't know.
Whatever
It's
you
up
want it to.
It's up to the viewer to decide what they mean. Otherwise, I would have just written them down.
Now, 15-year-old Maude in English literature classes where we were like breaking down Jane Austen. What did Jane Austen mean when she did? I'm like, well, how do we fucking ask her? She's dead. Like, who are you to say what she meant? You're not her. I was like, this is so dumb. You can't tell me what Jane Austen meant because she's been dead a while. Like, where is the proof that you have that this is what she meant by it? Stop this, like, interpretation of someone's artwork and don't say that it's exactly this is what she meant when she wrote it. Did she? What if it wasn't? What if she named that character something because she had that person in her life and hated them and that was the real reason? Maybe she was a little bit cunty. Oh, sorry. You know what I mean? But, like how do we know?
That one is worth three.
Join Maud's book club. She thinks Jane Austen could have been a little. Okay. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying your Aussies flipped out.
It did. New merch.
New merch.
Oopsies. Well, at least I had the audacity to blush on that one. I got. Okay, dog hair. KP Dub says, did anyone see Back to School starring Rodney Dangerfield when he hires Kurt Vonnegut to write his Kurt Vonnegut paper and he gets an F?
Well, Charlie Chaplin once finished third place in a Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest.
Oh
so,
my God. That's great. Yeah. So this is why I was like, I don't think I'm an academic because I'm going to totally disrupt whatever they think is like the take on these things. I was too philosophical. It's like, Jane Austen meant that. Did she? How do you know? Did she tell you? Did she tell you? All this to say is that Pierce is leaning into that, and that's going to infuriate the living shit out of me. There's only one academic here. Well said. Oi.
take Pierce out for drinks, get him real drunk, and then ask the question.
Yep. That's it. Just off the record. Now, we've only got 45 minutes. I want to talk about the Battle of Phobos. We can do that quite quickly. I want to talk about Darrow, Sevro, and Cassius being back together. I want to talk about Virginia's chapters as well, including that beautiful moment with Pax and the relationship that she's building with Holiday. I want to talk about Matteo, Lyria, Darrow, and Quicksilver. And then I want to talk about the Lysander, Ajax, Diomedes, Julia, Atalantia, and Cicero dynamics and chapters that we've had in there. Holiday for Sovereign. Let's hear it. The Greys for days. She's been great. All right, so the battle scenes were cool. Let's talk about Sevro. Okay, cool. But really quickly with Phobos. I've got a checklist in the document. We'll go through them. We got Sophocles' time. I'm thankful for that. There was a beautiful part in the book. Listening to it was incredible. But the way that the war was happening, Pierce did something that I don't think he's really done before. And that was used sort of like an ADR effect of being in a movie or being in a video game, of just having the sound effects, bursts of dialogue from people in the war. And it was like 2 pages in the book because it kind of went on and it immersed you, the reader, in sort of like this frenetic war zone environment. I thought that was really well done. I really liked it. Jeff, you hated it? No. You didn't care for it. It didn't. As a gamer, I really liked that element of like being thrust in, because it kind of felt like it was like a first person game and all of this stuff's happening around you. And you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Like, I liked that. Academic, you got thoughts?
Audiobook listeners, this is your moment to really like this was great audiobook.
Really good. It was really good. I would have loved, the only thing I would have loved more is actual sound effects in that to really bring it to life. But I thought that moment was really great. We talked about it already, but trying to pin the Minotaur down as a prisoner. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong was my sarcastic note here. Something that I really liked with this as well was, and this has happened in the previous books, the same moment from 2 different point of views. And in this instance, we had Virginia's point of view and we had Lysander's point of view. And as we were saying, there's so much of this book, it feels like chess pieces on a board watching it play out. You would have Virginia make her move on the board, and then you would have Lysander make his move on the board. And you're actually seeing it play out, but in like real time and under a lot of pressure. In Reddit, someone made a really great analogy and was really observant of just some of the language that was used in the Battle of Phobos between Virginia and Lysander's chapters to add on to the feeling of it being a chess match. Pierce pulls out a lot of chess imagery in this section as well. The claw drills are like rooks moving in a straight line. Apollonius and Cicero moving up and down and laterally are like your knights. The pawns are holding their lines at the bulwark. What? Bulwark? Virginia moving quickly in all directions is like the queen. Lysander moving slowly in the back in all directions was like the king. And just the overall, the descriptions of the vertical and lateral fighting of the battlefield was like a chessboard. That is beautiful and brilliant, I think. That is just like, did people reading this, did you notice that about this particular? Tim caught it. Senorito Burritos, thank you so much for the follow. And Azuis V, thanks for the follow as well. K Frito said, not at all. That went over your head completely. Robin, I am dumb. I don't know how to play chess. Jeff said, I thought the sudden appearance of Victra after being lost behind enemy lines was silly. You don't know Victra then. That's what she does.
That's what Victra does.
That's what she does.
She's tough to kill.
That woman gave birth standing up.
Fight him.
She pulled the baby out.
Exactly. That's what she does every time. Every time. Every time.
And I think,
every time.
and I think the thing is, because of our ongoing relationship with Victra, it is the best thing ever. It's like when you hear the sound effect of a lightsaber when you haven't seen a lightsaber in 3/4 of a Star Wars movie. When that thing lights up and you hear wong, you're like, yes, that's Victra. Victra is our lightsaber. Don't nah. Victra is our. In Victra we trust. Victra is. Do I like
Don't
Victra?
mourn for me. Pity them.
Oh,
That's
she's
Victra.
sick.
That was such a badass line. I
Ah.
was like, oh my god. She's like, cry havoc and unleash the dogs of hell
And like
right now.
all of Dark Age, she was like zipping around trying to find her children that were taken from her, you know? Or was that Iron Gold? That was Iron Gold. Zipping around, being like, they're like, Victra, stand down. She's like, no, I'll do it myself. And this whole thing, she's like, hold my beer. Ugh, love Victra. Scoob says, I love how the main characters don't have plot armor. They're just hard to kill. KP Dub says she's like an 8 foot. She's like 8 foot tall, 8 inches taller. She's 8 inches taller than Sevro. She's a bad mother. I mean, she's a good mum. She's just a bad mother. She a bad mother.
Aiden hit the nail on the head, though.
What?
Go ahead, Vaden.
Oh, yeah, I was so disappointed. Like, so we find out they're going to vital together, and then in the next chapter, like their story done. Like, what? Like, I want to see the fight. Like, it's so disappointing. Like, you got a fight between two of the most epic characters of the series, and they're just.
And all we get to see is the beheading. We don't get to see the fight.
Yeah,
how did it get there?
Actually, what I had written, I can't remember where I wrote it under, but I was like, was that fair to have that part off page? And I think this book has suffered from not having Victra chapters, personally. Like, we needed Victra chapters as soon as...
I don't disagree. I would have loved to have seen the move she was making with the fleet at the North Pole. Like...
Darren
hugely.
says, Thraxa was there too.
Right, it wasn't one-on-one. The fight with
it was 2-on-1. It was 2-on-1.
But it still would have been fun to watch.
Yeah, that moment, because they were like recapping it, right? Like they were watching back the footage and they were like, that's how you learn? And you're like, damn. City says, I was thinking about this the other day, and I think that Ajax's death is less about how skilled he was or the fact that it happened off screen or off page. It's about the fact that he died and Lysander was too busy doing his own thing to save him. Lysander's entire arc in this trilogy is about how he's sacrificing more and more to achieve his goals, and losing his friend that he's only just managed to patch things up with is just another victim of his ambition, along with Glorastes, Pytha, and Blank. Ooh. Okay, but if it happened on the page, you add another 30 pages to the book. Fair enough. And the fact that it happened was badass. All right, now the Rim being attacked. We can conclude that Atalantia is behind Far going to the Rim, yeah?
I had that thought. There's no direct evidence of it, but it certainly seems that way.
Because Lysander...
I thought maybe Quicksilver was behind it as well, trying to open up a window. But...
I saw Atalantia taking this as an opportunity because they're all hustled there. Instead of Lysander continuing onto Mars, continuing his sort of path of trajectory. I mean, she tried to freaking kill... Surely it was him, or is it Atlas? Atlas is doing Atalantia's bidding. We can surmise that. But Atlas tried to poison Lysander, and when that didn't kill him...
You know what? I half wonder if it wasn't Kyber that tried to kill Lysander.
Why?
Because when they go to leave to go help the Rim fleet, he asks, where's Kyber? And the guy's like, oh, she took a sniper round, but she'll be okay. And then she's not there. And I'm like, is she going to be okay? Or are they just telling Lysander that she's going to be okay? And they're like, no, we know you poisoned him and you're done. Like, half of me kind of, like, my initial thought when he got poisoned was that it was Kyber because she's there and then she's not and then she's there again and he's dying. And I'm like,
okay.
Wasn't Kyber, who was the Medicus who was a person who saved Ajax from the Medicus? But I thought that was Kyber.
In Dark Age?
It's in the battle.
No, in this book,
she sniped out a doctor that was a suicide bomber. And they're like, how did you know? And she's like, I didn't. She's like, it was a guess.
Okay, so
shot
there's
a guy
some
off of
guesswork.
vibes.
City says it was Kyber. City also says we already know that Far works for Atlas. Yeah, see this. Yeah, okay, City, tell me more about that.
City.
Do we know that though? Like,
I don't think we know that.
I don't think we know that yet.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
I
'Cause, like,
think
I know.
I had sort of pieced that somewhat together. From Dark Age, Far and Xenophon were talking about it in front of Ephraim.
I don't remember that.
Thank you, City. From Dark Age. There you
Encyclopedia
go.
Rising over here.
That's a great handle. Keep it up says, look, I just blacked out Dark Age. Let's talk about there you go. Lysander was being poisoned. It was Roan, the bodyguard, who did it, and I believe it was at Atlas's request. And then is Atlas Atalantia's dog or puppet? We don't know. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know about Atlas, even though you think he's very, very clear. I think he's quite confounding. Darrow, Sevro, and Cassius reunited again.
One of the best lines in the whole freaking book. Lost my shit laughing.
Go on.
When Mustang is talking to Holiday, and Holiday says, they're talking about him, worrying about him coming to Mars to rescue him. And Holiday's, he won't. He's not that stupid. And she's like, he's with Barca and Bologna. When they get together, the stupid becomes exponential. And I'm like, if that's not the epitome of when the boys get together, I was like, that's me and my friends all the time.
Yeah,
when we get together, it's just buckets of stupid.
Yeah. I love it. And yet when Holiday and Virginia are together, they get smarter and smarter. It's wild. Go figure. It's for my girls. Now, we were talking about Cassius's drinking problem. It's really upsetting me. The thing I don't understand, though, is that I'm really struggling to understand Cassius, his motivations, his purpose. I want to understand him intimately, obviously, but like I'm really struggling because it's like he's got a drinking problem and yet he wants the ship to be clean. And I'm like, that's a bit of a juxtaposition. It's like, are you okay with hurting yourself, but you don't want to hurt your surroundings? I'm just not sure. And then pining after yet another woman that doesn't want him. Is it a glutton for punishment kind of thing? Can someone help me figure Cassius out?
I think what Academic said it earlier in the chat is he's suffering from major imposter syndrome. I think that's a big part of it. Is he doesn't know he's moving from objective to objective to objective, but I don't think he's
not a key player anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think he sees I don't think he sees a clear path for himself. He's like, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to help Darrow, but I don't see where I actually fit in the overall scheme. I think he's got a loss of vision.
But he's also not resentful of being in Darrow's shadow either.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's grateful that even though he realized that he fucked everything up so badly, and from Red Rising to Morning Star, that he's like, okay, I'm just glad I get to be here. He's that golden retriever with.
He's happy to be here.
Potato, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Sevro's the one that worries me.
Oh, yeah. He's about to spiral. Just on the Cassius thing. Jeff is saying that Cassius keeps taking the path of least resistance. He's a bit of a floater. There's no planning. There's no forethought. He's just kind of existing in a way. But yeah, he doesn't want to get back into the thick of it. I mean, he's down for the adventure. He's like, oh, we're going to rescue Sevro. Sounds great. I'm on. Let's go. Haha. Happy to be here. Yeah, okay. Sevro doesn't or didn't know about his son Ulysses. He was ready to go home. He'd been given permission to go home. He'd basically he'd stamped his time card for the last time. Why are you taking your headphones off, Jeff? He doesn't want to hear about this. That's fair. That's fair. It's sad. Yeah.
That was it.
Sad.
Maude. That was it.
And again, the symbolism of him shaving his hair to get the mohawk back. It's like old Sevro is back. He's cosplaying his time in the Institute.
Just when that chapter starts and like Lyria goes into the shuttle and she starts
sorry to hear about your baby.
She starts to describe a figure she sees, and I just put the book down and grabbed Abel and was like, no. Here it comes.
So this is the Sevro catalyst. Is it for the better or the worse? We don't know yet.
Oh no, we're about to see fully unhinged Sevro. 100%.
And again,
But-
Sevro doesn't talk about his feelings. He uses his fists instead.
But I was worried. I was worried about Sevro and Darrow's relationship before that happened. Right before, like
It was
just-
bad
there's-
in Dark Age.
There's well that and like it's worse now. Like they're back together and we're like, yes, Sevro and Darrow are back together and they're sort of cooperating, but there is remnants of the fracture that was between Darrow and Roke.
100%. Well,
going
no,
on, and
not
it's-
even. It's going back to going all the way to take out, oh my God, the other A name, and he was already dying. And that whole thing was
Yeah.
for naught.
It's going all the way back to that.
Who was
but
that guy in the bed?
It was Atalantia's father.
Yeah.
I
Not
forget
a
his name.
Not a fear,
Doesn't
no.
matter.
Ashlord. That's
Yeah,
it.
Ashlord.
Papa Grimace. Thank you, Taryn.
Grimace?
I think that there was disdain building from that. It's like, you dragged me away from my family. And this thing is, Darrow has completely compartmentalized being a father. Severo has not. Severo has actually gone the other way. He wants to leave war behind to be a father. And so I think that there's a lot of resentment. And I think that Severo really struggles to see Darrow constantly not choose his son for what Darrow believes that he needs to do. I think that's actually really hard for Severo. And why this is why Victra is even cooler, because she's so banging and great and amazing and a badass that Severo will literally turn his back on war just to spend time with her. Like, amazing. We love Victra. But yeah, this particular scene here, and like Lyria as well, not being able to shut up or read a room or figure it out. That was really hard. But Virginia, time and time again, choosing to not relay that information, because Virginia is smart enough to know that that will cause pain and destruction should that information get out. I think that it's a reason why Lyria needs purpose. I'm still trying to figure out what it is. City, Seb, I think Vaden and I had a really interesting conversation in the Red Rising or Lightbringer chat on Discord, which was Lyria having the parasite. Why did she need the parasite? If it was just going to be taken out like a book later, what was the point of that? And it's kind of like we're wondering if it was even taken out to begin with. And City's argument was a really, really good one, and that was when you think of a Pink's position of just being a vessel, of being a body, of being used like that a lot, it wouldn't make sense for Mateo and Mateo's character to lie to Lyria about her being just something to be used as well. So that piece doesn't really fit, that Mateo would lie to her, would put her under that level of surgery to not, to violate her in a way, to not sort of like set her free from that parasite. Now, the parasite's fucking cool. I think we can all agree about that. It is like having a Jarvis sort of situation. It's like, being told where to go, what to do, when to duck, all that kind of stuff. And it is what a red needs to be able to hold their own against a bunch of golds. And Lyria has successfully been doing that. I like her more in this book than I've ever liked her. Do I think she's got great taste in men? Yes. But I think that there were times, and Lyria is always going to struggle from being the lowest rung, overlooked, that she keeps having to fight for herself when she doesn't need to. And it actually spawned a thought for me where it's like Lyria has almost painted the target on herself because she feels like she's been a target for so long. And I guess you could think of this as like, I don't want it to sound terrible, but like in a way a victimhood mentality where it's like she's always being stepped on, in the way, not strong, like she's always been overlooked. And so she continually has only ever learned to have to fight for herself. Lyria, the truffle pig. Exactly, right? The truffle pig. That she has then painted that bullseye almost on herself so that anything is flung around her, she thinks she's going to get hit, or she anticipates getting hit. This is my analogy. This is my metaphor. Simile. Whatever it is. And there's beautiful moments where like Cassius and even Ori are like, that's not about you. Like, we're not trying to fight you. This isn't anything to do with you, actually. And she's so anticipating it being like her being the problem. And so she's doubling down a lot of the time. City says, my favorite Lyria part so far was her reaction to finally meeting Darrow and the final realization that all of her anger towards him evaporates in the face of his reality. She recognizes what he's had to sacrifice, what he's had to do, the blood on his hands, and also like how intimidating it is being a peerless Scarred and fighting with all of these people, and he continually volunteers to step up to do it. And so she's in awe of him now. But I really like Lyria's development in this, and I actually think she's got a stronger sense of self and purpose than Cassius does. So I am interested to see them together a little bit more with this. Thoughts, anyone?
No, you nailed it.
Okay.
Yeah, nailed
City
it.
said the moment where she says, "I drop the knife, but I hold tight to the ham," is also excellent. The ham. The ham's what got her into this. The sweet veal, the ham. With this butter and bread, she can make a sandwich. This is so exciting.
I
So
feel
funny that the
like
butter was the trigger that Sevro knew someone was stealing
Like,
food. It just comes out
my
that the
butter.
butter is Sevro's special thing. He's like, I
Count my
never
butter."
miscount my butter.
What were you gonna say,
I
academic?
feel like Pierce was really in his George R. R. Martin like druthers here, talking about food all throughout this book. I'm like, what? Where was this Pierce when you were like all of the other parties that we've been to? Now we're on the brink of starvation, well, like of ruin, and now we're talking about food with all. Oh wow, it's crazy.
I thought it was really well done with Lyria, though, who's like, often been starving. Like, would she divulge everyone's secrets just for a sandwich? Yeah, probably. What a liability. Like, Bryant is a first-time follower and commenter saying, "I can't wait to see Lysander die in the next book." Will he, though? Or is Lysander going to save the day? We don't know. We don't know. More about Sevro and Darrow, what I think is really interesting. There was a bit of a flashback with Fitchner sort of doing a video for Sevro while Sevro's in the video as like a baby, a toddler. It's almost like reminding Sevro of his path. I think Sevro's so used to Darrow doing everything, and this is one thing, being a son of Ares, that's one thing that Darrow can't actually do. And I kind of love this moment where Ori, who is on the vessel following Cassius, is delivering a message not to Darrow, but to Sevro, and saying Darrow can't meet up with Athena. She doesn't really want to meet Darrow. Darrow has fucked everyone in the Rim that's been kind of fighting the fight with him, or was supposed to fight with him. He let them die. Like, he's not the sons of Ares to us. He's not Ares. And Fitchner was Ares, and Sevro's literally the son of Ares. Darrow's the butcher. Yeah. So there's a really interesting relationship where Darrow isn't, like, his shit absolutely stinks out in the Rim. Like, he's not the prodigal son. He's like, people don't like him. And I think that's really interesting, that pull as well, where it's like, Sevro, you can't walk away from this. You're more in it than you realize. Like, this isn't something that you can be like, I'm done. Thank you. It just took the killing of his son to get there. But I do like that dynamic where Darrow is also realizing that he can't step up and take everything. He can't take all the ownership or all the responsibility all the time, always. And Darrow's at his best when he's surrounded by the people that want to work with him, instead of like trailing him to like, please put down the knife. It's like, it's they're working alongside him and they're all in this together. So I like that, and I'm looking forward to the second half of the book with that as well. Let's talk about some of Virginia Pax holiday moments. Virginia, in the Battle of Phobos, we got to see Mustang again. And that was pretty great. I feel like she's been in office and she was sovereign for so long that her brain's always her best asset. But like her becoming Mustang again, like her having the razor on her in combat, her strategizing on the fly, trying to step two steps ahead, having to make brutal decisions where she's kind of like telling the Blues, it's like, yeah, put the shield down. And they're like, but she's like, do it. You know what this means? She's like, yeah, I do. We need to do it. So do it. It's those moments. And I feel like when Mustang's in those situations, she's connected to Darrow even stronger, even more, because she realizes like Darrow's gone through this for a while. No, they had a long time together, happy. And it's been years though. getting a small Pax update. I was really kind of a bit worried about Pax in the earlier books. This is someone whose father is the Reaper and whose mother is the Sovereign. Is he primed? I mean, he was already primed for kidnapping. I was wondering if the pressure would be too much, or if he would get resentful, or if he would like befriend Lysander. I'm not sure. I've always been a bit like worried, I guess. And there was a beautiful moment and a great quote about how he sees his parents and what they bring. And for him, the consequence, I believe, was struggle. Or Darrow's was struggle. His mum's was something. Where is that quote? I think it's actually in the document. Mother, your inheritance was guilt. Father's was surrender. Mine is struggle. I do not blame you. I thank you. You never pretended that the world wasn't broken, even when a broken world favored you. I was like, oh, Pax is going to be just fine. With that one thing, I'm like, Pax is in good hands. He's a solid kid. He's doing well. Welcome back, Zelda. Lovely to have you here. Even though your betrayal was very obvious for a bit there. Bryant says, or Brian, I'm not sure which one is it. I think the best thing that they could do is have the parasite sent back to the ship for Pax. No, the whole point of this is for him to not be the weapon. We don't want him to be curated and crafted to be the weapon that everyone thinks he should be. It's with a T. Thank you. But I liked that moment. Does anyone have any thoughts on the Virginia chapters that they want to talk about?
I missed my warrior wifey.
Yes. I know you love Mustang.
It was cool. It was cool to see her like do battle.
I feel a little conflicted with all the triage that Mustang was sort of forced into doing. Like it smacks a little bit of Lysander, but she also had buy-in from the people that, I mean, she had to command in one way or the other. But yeah, I think Virginia is still awesome. Yeah.
She's kind of doing the Darrow thing as well, though, where it's like, I'm in a pickle right now. So I'm going to break out far, and the whole Obsidians, who I think like are pretty despicable, who I don't respect, who I think, are very problematic and don't deserve this. But if I can convince them to be on my side to get me out of this pickle that I'm in right now, so be it. And that's a very Darrow move, really, where you're just like, right, this very nothing else matters if I can't live through this. So let's figure all that other stuff out later.
It was her handing Ragnar her razor.
Yeah, 100%. Valdir is to Mustang what Ragnar was to Darrow.
Yep.
Except that Valdir is fucking scary.
Yeah.
Dude is
Ragnar wasn't?
No, but
Ragnar
was Ragnar. Valdir is fucking frightening.
Yeah, what happened in Dark Age with Sephi? You're just like, what?
No, I hear you, but like that's Valdir is small potatoes compared to Ragnar. Like Ragnar was the obsidian amongst us obsidians.
Yeah,
like,
he has items on a
asteroid.
menu. You can get the giant ice cream sundae that if you can eat it all,
the ice cream sundae is what's named after Ragnar.
Yeah, it's because he's like sweet.
Not like the half a cow. They wouldn't put things in a menu named after Valdir because it's.
Yeah, because he's not a hero of the Rising. He's Valdir the Unshorn.
It's because he's nightmare fuel.
City makes a really great point I'd like to read out in the chat. City's been talking about this quite a lot in part 1, where it's like there's such a distinguishment between the Reaper and Darrow, and it's almost like the Reaper has reaped that there's nothing left to sow in a way. And so he's falling back into sort of Darrow, the Darrow that we need and love. And City says, I think Mustang reflecting on Darrow is also putting more and more emphasis on the difference between Darrow and the Reaper. And one of the things I love most about their relationship is that she is going through the same thing, balancing what they think they have to do to win versus their morality. And I don't think Lysander's there just yet. I think that's the missing piece at the moment. I'd also love to chat about Matteo, Lyria, Quicksilver. Well, Matteo and Lyria, really. This whole sort of like subplot that's been happening.
Side quest,
yeah. I guess the big question in all of this is, do you think the parasite was really removed? Yes, no, maybe, I don't know. Academics asking me to repeat the question. No, it was a lyric from a song. Phantom says, I think so. Okay, Frito says, I think so. City said it had better have been removed. Yeah, because that would really undo Mateo as a character. It doesn't really make sense. KPW says she's free and clear. So then why have the parasite at all? I feel like we got like 2 minutes of airtime with the parasite before it was done and over.
It was I think the parasite was plot armor for Lyria, because she never would have survived what was going on in the Dark Age thing without it. There's no way. There's no way.
But if you're going to
she
use it as
survived
plot armor, like, let's expand upon it instead of literally putting on the plot armor then taking it out, like, conveniently a little bit later. It just felt a little anticlimactic to me, is all. City says maybe we're back in some form in RG, now that they've kind of stipulated that it exists. But for Lyria, it gives her a reason to be in the Rim.
Yeah,
Colleen
it puts her
says-
there so she can go
Yeah.
after Volga.
She's a bit shoehorned in from time to time, I think. Let's talk about Quicksilver and Darrow. Their beautiful moment that they had. Really quickly, Pianki says, sounds like it was destroyed when it was removed, but others probably still exist. Academic says, do you mean Elon and Darrow? Yeah. City says, eat shit, Quicksilver. Quicksilver has been funding the war for a very long time. Quicksilver has been funding the Sons of Ares for an exceptionally long time. It was basically Fitchner and Quicksilver at the start. It was Quicksilver's bank, and it was Fitchner's dream, or activation of it all. Quicksilver's instead using funds and money and has been building a golden ship, a new answer to a different way of life. So do you remember when we were talking about billionaires, how in Starter Villain, how all the billionaires, when they were asked about the future, they were all wondering how to survive the inevitable end and not how to stop the inevitable end. Quicksilver is in that billionaire mindset where it's like, shit's getting bad. I'm going to restart the world in my vision elsewhere. And it'll be lonely for a little bit, but we have children that are sigil free, and we will establish a new world with no sigils. Snores says, is he wrong? No, he's literally doing what Darrow's trying to do, in a way. Darrow's goal was to remove the sigils in a class system completely. So the problem is that Quicksilver is abandoning the current reality. There is a little cowardice in that doesn't really work for me, so I'm going to let everyone and everything die. And I have created and manufactured this own thing where I have hand selected and picked people that I choose to be on it. And so I'm doing it in my vision, in my way, on my terms. Scooby says he's already on to the last resort. And I think that Darrow felt initially betrayed and hurt by it. Is it cowardice or realism? That's a different way to look at it. I think that when you're going into a war and it's his particular help that could solve the war or end the war and put like the current reality, you don't think so? Talk to me about this. He's gesticulating too much to not be muted.
All right. So money doesn't solve everything, right? Like, just because he could have built some ships or done whatever, sure.
The problems will still
Maybe
exist.
then-
Yes.
Maybe then the Republic is in a better position, but the problems still exist, and the fallout from the revolution still exists, and then trying to figure out how to fix everything that's been broken is still there. And can you, after all of sort of the bad blood and everything else that's going on?
I'm with you.
He's
So-
doing
I feel
like
one
he's giving
smart
up.
move.
So this is the Thanos effect, no?
No.
It is a little. There's a huge problem. I bestow it upon myself to fix this problem, and it's going to hurt a lot of people and cause a lot of chaos and uproar. But I am dictating the effects of the solution. Quicksilver's essentially doing that. I will let everyone die in the war. I can help you. I'm opting out of it. You're likely all going to die. Not my problem. I'm going to be the dictator of my own solution.
He's removing himself from the equation.
At the cost
But
of
also-
millions.
But
But also,
I've
he's dumped millions of dollars
He
or
has.
credits or whatever into this already.
Yeah.
He's already
Yeah.
like
He
he's
has given
working
a
already
on
lot. He's given a
freaking
lot for a very long
everything.
time. That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
And it's not just he's not just running away. He's also chasing his dream that he's had since
Yep.
before Red Rising, right? Like he said he was just the nerdy kid who always like wanted to do this same thing that even Augustus wanted. Like he
Yep.
wanted to expand beyond the stars.
I was using
And-
cowardice because that's how Darrow was seeing it at a particular moment.
Oh,
And
no.
then
And-
Quicksilver did a little exposition, a little trauma dump, and holy shit, that man went through a lot. And this is where I'm like, the reality of like being a gold or a silver, of like what people go through. Like the world sucks and it is broken. He had hope. He had a dream. He got absolutely messed over with a business deal that was being manipulated in a way. It's a gentle way to say it. And they killed his children in front of him. But like, let's not just kill your children. Like, it is the most horrific thing that you could possibly do. That was dark. Yeah, it was. Oh, Bryant saying Quicksilver putting the guy. Yeah, he got his comeuppance. This is what Quicksilver is technically capable of doing. He promised the man who hurt and killed his family his life, and his life is being shot into space in a life pod, sustaining his life for the entire time, but not being able to move, not being able to do anything, but staying alive.
I think Darren nailed it when he said the writing on the wall was the Vox Populi. I think Quicksilver saw what was going on, and he's like, even if the Republic wins this war and they control the core, somebody else is going to come and revolt right behind them.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what the society is. He even said it. He's like, the problem is not the Republic. The problem is the colors.
Yeah.
Because all Quicksilver is really doing is removing the colors.
And I think as like Quicksilver is one of the most powerful and important people because he does have a lot of money and he has been funding a war. And he still will only ever be silver. You know, he will never be a gold. And so I think that there's an element there as well where there's a disdain of like, I've done so much and I'm not at the top. Like, I'm not at the top of the chain here.
I did like the joke of it's just like a god to just flush it and start over, because that's what he's doing. He's
Yeah.
just, there's this creation, we're gonna flush it and we're gonna start over.
His generation ship was a collaboration with Glorastes, at least in planning. So that's like Darrow's mentor and Lysander's mentor were actually working together for the same vision. Another parallel. They are heading to another star system on a generational ship. If they are not detected on the way out, they should be fine, which begs the question, should he kill Darrow and the others as witnesses? Well, I mean, no. Let him do his thing. What are they going to do? Come after him and
Well,
stop it?
Vaden, that was in response to Vaden bringing up a point. Like, Quicksilver is just deferring the inevitable for these Homo sapien kids. They're going to go somewhere, but are the golds going to follow eventually? Saying, not if no one knows where this ship is going on its way out.
Right.
But
it
he's leaving
doesn't
behind
matter.
people who know where it's going.
It doesn't
They
matter.
don't know where it's going, they just know it's going.
They're going, and if there's constant acceleration, which they kind of imply there is in the science, that they can't be caught. They're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Well,
they
won't be caught for generations, but if
gone, they can't get caught.
another ship could be sent after them to the same star system they're going to. Might
But
have
if,
a
no, but
10-year
if
head
no one
start.
knows that it exists, then you can't follow it.
Right. That's the thing. If no one knows they exist, they can't be followed.
But also, I don't know that they necessarily said. Did they say they were going to a star system? They just said they were.
I don't.
Going.
Yeah. See, I don't think Quick ever said where he was going. He just said he was going.
Okay. I got that impression. I could be wrong.
And
I think he just said he was leaving. He didn't say where.
Right, and he built that asteroid, like he hollowed out the whole thing so that there's a whole self-contained world there. I don't even think he needs to go to.
They don't need a destination per se.
They're just gone. Pianki says wasn't part of Quicksilver's plan that he wasn't actually going with the children. He doesn't want them exposed to any person from the hierarchy, himself included.
No, I think he's going, but I think he's, because he even said that there's the world part where the kids and they're learning from the automatons, and then there's the rest of the ship. And he's like, and I could show you all of the rest of the ship, but that's not important. So I think Quicksilver and Mateo are going because someone has to keep the ship running, but I don't think they're ever planning on interacting with this new Homo sapien creation that they've got.
City says there isn't really a point in him going because he's going to be long dead before he gets anywhere. There you go.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's just going.
Girl,
Yeah.
they're gone, girl.
No, he's saving humanity. That's
Mhm,
the
mhm.
point.
He's taking it
Yep.
into
Like
his own
that's
hands.
in his mind anyway.
Yep.
He's saving humanity.
And
That's his
like I said,
whole point.
This is Pierce's way of either writing out a character that no longer serves a purpose, or setting him up for a triumphant return at the final hour.
Ooh, okay.
Two outcomes here. Either we never see Quick again, or he shows up at the last possible minute to rescue everyone.
We've only got a couple of minutes left, but I want to talk about the Lysander, Ajax, Diomedes, Julia, Atlanta, and Cicero chapters. I thought that the Politico scene, everyone going around, everyone sort of bending to Atalantia's whims, the Rim coming in, being like, how often do we have to support you? To what end? We've given everything and we don't have the support. We joined a war that you refused to fight, standing up for themselves, and then seeing sort of Atalantia just silence, or Atlas silence everyone else and not be part of the conversation. Meanwhile, Ajax has been teaching Lysander how to be a good lapdog, how to get comfortable in the cage that he is now in, and then forming a bit of an alliance, like of how to just best deal with Atalantia. She is a problem. She's not going away, but you can just kind of like make accommodations for yourself here. And then Lysander going off script to defy Atalantia, and asking the Gulls to bring class back to the highest class, and then take the battle on Mars instead of Luna. Did you like this moment? Did it kind of pack the punch that you'd hoped that it would? Because when Atalantia is like, "What is this boy?" and he's like, "Oh yeah." No, because the Carthei's little shuffle in their hierarchy, but they're on my side, and Apollonius is the army, so yeah, we're good. We're just gonna go do it, and everyone's on board. Say aye. There's a chorus of ayes, and she's like, "All right, go do it." Yes, academic, and then Tim.
I loved everything except for how it began. I said in the chat, like, let's just call this the sacrifice of Glorastes,
Ugh.
because this is what I was talking about, like Lysander, like doing everything but justifying it in the end because of the good of the society, which is really, I feel like, just his own selfish ambition half the time.
Could he not send someone to rescue Glorastes? Like, where's the cell? Get him. Make sure he's like out. Like, we've just had 9 prison breaks in the last 4 chapters, and Lysander's not like, I could probably save him. No. Just do it quick.
He's learned how to sacrifice the limb from good old Reap, but he's never learned that the limb also had some agency in the sacrificing. Right?
Yeah.
Also,
yeah.
The difference is like Lysander, he basically sacrifices people and for his cause, even if
Darrow's done it. Hello, Ares in the Rim.
Darrow has definitely done it, but also Darrow goes crazy and he actually goes to rescue people all the time. He rescues.
He does.
He goes, okay, I put someone in danger. I'm gonna go rescue them now. Mm-hmm. So he does, even though it's foolish of him, it's not allowed so many times, but still he does it. That's one big difference to them, at least.
Yeah, true.
The bill came due for Darrow, right? Like that was his.
That was Mercury.
Mercury. It's coming due right now because the Rim wants nothing to do with him. Mm-hmm. And I do before this trade with the Rim that he did in Morning Star. I think that the Rim sons would have welcomed him with open arms.
100%.
In this instance, right? So,
and there'd be a revolt happening in Mercury as well, but they're all dead, so they can't.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because he, in the end, where he's trying to strip trying to prevent this whole class system or bring everybody based on the class system, but he treated the golds in the Rim the same as the golds in the core, and they're out the same. And because of that, him sacking or destroying the docks of Ganymede, he's ended up causing all these consequences that have ruined him.
Yeah.
Yep. I was gonna say I liked it, especially the political coup that Lysander performed in the meeting of the 200 or whatever. Just because it was kind of the first time where Lysander took the reins. Up until that point, he's kind of riding along a little bit and talking to people and kind of forging these tentative alliances. But that was the first time where he's like, all right, well, now it's my turn. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to say my piece, right? He could have just as easily sat back, let Atlantia make her speeches.
That's what Ajax kind of wanted him to do. And then when Lysander didn't, Ajax almost respected him more.
Yeah, so
he's doing what he couldn't.
I liked that. I just liked that Lysander was finally like, I'm going to take the reins here. Because this, in not saying that he's correct in doing it, but in his mind he is. He's like, this is the key to winning, is not Luna or Earth. No one gives a shit about that.
Mm-hmm. It's Mars,
the
baby.
The whole story is focused on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
That's where, if we break Mars, we'll break the Republic, because that's where all of the heroes come from. That's where all the lore comes from. That's where all the belief comes
that's where
from.
Darrow comes from.
It's a tactical move, but it's also kind of trying to nuke cultural centers like we did in Japan in World War II, because we didn't hit military targets. We hit soft targets where, trying to break their spirit more than break their military. And I think he's trying to do 2 in 1. So I kind of admired that. I liked that he was taking the reins in that and saying, this is what we're going to do because it needs to get done. You can do your own thing if you want. Have fun sacking the moon, whatever. I mean, and then we see later on when Quicksilver's looking at the moon after, he's like, who wants this? You kind of say, who wants this land? It's just a disaster area post the Day of Red Doves. There's nothing worthwhile on Luna anyways. I don't know why you'd want it. You kind of get that feeling.
It'll take a miracle. Bye-bye.
So Atlantia is saying we need to take Luna because blah, 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 blah. Like, no one cares. Luna's a disaster. There's no value in it.
Yeah, but it's where Atalantia can kind of like remove herself and reign.
Well,
yeah.
the only thing that's on Luna that has any symbolic power is that's where the morning chair is. That's where the sovereign traditionally reigns from, right? So there's some symbolism in that.
Yeah, not symbolic. Yeah.
But it's not really that worthwhile if you win a chair but lose everything else.
Can I just say, Tim, this is the first book that you've read and been able to contribute to in a little while. It's been wonderful having you chat books again, the book that you've read. It's been really lovely. There was a comment made earlier, and Robin said it again now. We love Julia Bologna.
Do we?
Running shit in here. Yeah, she's not great, but like she has sass. She's got a tiny place where she can have authority and make it count and supersede Atalantia, and she uses it. I like that. I've told Pierce that I want to play Julia if it ever gets made into whatever. I think I would make a great, my American accent shithouse, but it's like more of a transatlantic. No, we've got a friend who's going to be a great Victra. I think she's too pretty to play Victra. But she's like, I'm going to play Victra. And now it's like who I picture when I read it, which is great. How's your I want to eat Darrow's heart line? I know the whole monologue of her at the table. Oh, there's still no Darrow's head in the box. I love it. I love it. There's great monologues in here as well. Lysander in the what do you call it? On the podium, wherever that is. Great monologue. There's just been really good monologues here. I told Pierce that I'll play Darrow. I saw you do that. You comment on I've just pieced 2 and 2 together here. You've been on a Darrow campaign for that too. Pierce killing it with the prose in this book. Yeah, as always. Up, yawn from Jeff. Love it. But Jeff's also been saying that Atalantia wants to rule, whereas Lysander wants to unite. I pierced 2 and 2 together. Exactly. I think that's kind of like the last of it. We spoke about the rest. There's a little bit here about what do you think of Cicero. The abomination is mentioned by Sevro in fleeting. What do we know? He says, don't even bother. Let's skip all that. We don't care.
I would talk about Cicero if we have time, but...
Go on.
I was just saying, he's interesting in that he's kind of useless.
But he's fun. He can stay.
I guess. I was talking in the chat earlier. He's kind of an idiot, like, as far as a commander of a unit or whatever. He reminds me of if you've ever seen the show Band of Brothers, David Schwimmer's character, where he's so full of himself and his stance or his, his station, but all he really ever does is screw things up.
Well, he also has got the gold ego of, no, I want to do this. I want the glory. I know best, and I'm going to derail the entire plan because this is what I want to do. And you're like, fuck off, dude. You suck.
He's pre-redemption Tactus.
Yeah. Bit
Yeah,
chaotic.
probably.
But, like, less horny.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. Which is weird when you consider the name Cicero, but whatever.
Oops, All Bones and Indigo Ash, thank you so much for the follows as well. Brian, you said something that was quite interesting earlier, and I want to scroll back to read it. Apollonius being disappointed in himself and pouting was hilarious. He's got to get a redemption arc, or at least a team up with Darrow again temporarily. Also, while y'all are talking, Lysander is Darrow without a definitive line and a sense of loyalty. Darrow would never have let Glorastes die in that same position. That'd be the difference. A reminder, Pierce, I have a 1-hour Q&A with Pierce Brown about Lightbringer. But if you've got any questions prior to that, it's free game. If you want to ask those questions, there is a Google Doc available, but it is for members only. So if you want to join Maude's Book Club, just jump onto patreon.com/Maude's Book Club. Any tier will get you access to that doc. The lowest tier is $5 a month. No time commitment for that one. You can go in there and you can put in all of your questions. City, you've been in there. You've made some questions happen. What's okay, Darth? Jeff, why have you got the giggles?
Said he's going to add a bunch of questions. I was about to say be nice when you do.
Oh, Jeff. My friends, don't do this to me.
I do want to see Jeff's questions.
I would like to.
I kind of do
very
too.
illuminating.
We'll put it in a different doc. We'll make a
I'm
specific.
not saying doc, just in a different tab. It'll be
Yeah.
What we
Okay.
have to do is make sure that Jeff is permanently muted for the talk right before the interview.
Oh, come on.
Just in case.
I will tell Pierce not to bother with that.
It's tell him not to watch. Yeah.
Just beforehand. Free reign.
I've been very nice.
You have been, honestly.
I will say this: you've been judicious and diplomatic.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I
We
like
should
how
have an after-hours book club.
yawn.
Just so we can get Jeff's...
Yawn is a full sentence when it comes to Jeff. Sometimes
Just
that's all we need.
Pierce goes on, just before Pierce goes on, Maud's like,
Execute Order 66.
I was wondering if we